What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to take a look at this idea that you can't keep up with Marvel Strike Force. Is it possible to keep up with Marvel Strike Force? We are going to talk about all of that, and I'm gonna show you or tell you my approach to the game and how I can keep up as a light spender on this game. There are a few things that you need to focus on, that you need to be aware of, and that you need to change your mindset to in order to be successful in this game and in order for you to keep up with the game. Yes, it's possible to keep up with the game if you don't fall into the many traps that Scopely sets up for you. And then it's up to you if you want to fall on them or not. Many people fall on them, even content creators fall on them, and this is why I think it's important that we talk about this, so you focus on what's important. And always remember, gear up the characters, level up characters that you need, not that you want. Some characters you just gear up them as much as it's necessary. If it's not necessary anymore, there is no point continue gearing them up, and you should also prioritize gearing up certain characters over others. So we're going to talk about all of that in this video. As always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's get started. Is it possible to keep up with everything or not? Yes, of course it is. Once again, you just need to focus on what you are doing properly. Okay, so first off, I'm going to equip my second Gear Tier 17 item on my Morgan Le Fay, very close to 300,000 power, and I recently got her to 7 red stars. So this is an important topic to talk about. When should you spend your red star orbs in order to get dark promotion credits? This is very, very important. Now, you should open most of your red stars for horseman characters. Like recently we had Brawn, we had also Abomination, and maybe if there is some character that has some additional value and that is not horseman, you should also save your red star orbs for those characters. Other characters that are not a part of that group that I mentioned, then you can just skip it. Then, in case you have a decent stock of elite 4s and elite 5s, you want to open a few characters if you are lucky, of course. This is all based on luck. But if you are able to open Abomination and Brawn with just elites, and you can save your basic orbs, then if you have like a pile of 50 orbs or 70 orbs, it means you can open. Still, you should always keep around 25 orbs just in case something goes wrong, because if something goes wrong and you don't have enough elite 4s, it's terrible to get stuck with a horseman character with 0 red stars or 1 red star or whatever. So this is something that you want to avoid as much as possible. So this is the first topic we are talking about. When should you open your basic red star orbs in order to gather dark promotion credits without compromising your red star progress on the good characters, on the horseman characters and other relevant characters? Okay, so now let's talk about Gear Tier 17. Which characters should you take to Gear Tier 17? You should focus on the characters that allow you to win in each team. And each team has their own characters that allow you to win. Some characters allow you to win more than others. So for example, on the Gamma team, Abomination with his big damage output is going to allow you to win a lot more than Brawn. Not saying that one character is better than other, but you need to deal damage to the enemies in order to win. In terms of the Bionic Avengers, the characters that allow you to win the most are going to be Deadlock and Hulkbuster. I'm talking about the new characters, of course. And in terms of the horseman characters, so for example here on this team, on the Unlimited X-Men, which character allows you to win? Is it Rogue or is it Gambit? It's Gambit, it's not Rogue, so you should prioritize gearing up Gambit first, and then you can gear up Rogue. Right now, from the Horseman characters that we have available, Rogue is actually the worst Horseman character, so you should not even spend Dark Promotion credits on her. You should focus your Dark Promotion credits on Morgan Le Fay to 6, then Red Hulk to 6, then Morgan Le Fay to 7, and then Red Hulk to 7, and maybe after you can spend on Rogue, or you can focus on the next character that supposedly it's gonna be Archangel. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Some characters allow you to win, other characters do not allow you to win. And for example, on this team, I was mentioning before, Horseman characters and characters that have a lot of potential. We can see right here, Madeline Pryor, and Madeline Pryor is a character that on her own, she allows you to win in different teams. If you use her together with Eternals, she's gonna take Eternals to a next level that, yes, Eternals are amazing, but Eternals with Madeline Pryor, it's even better. You can use Secret Avengers with Madeline Pryor and Strife. You can plug and play Madeline Pryor in different teams and make these teams a lot better than they would be otherwise. But in this case of the Dark Hunter teams, there is no character here that is on the same level as Madeline Pryor. And this is why you need to focus your red stars, your cores, and your effort in the characters that allow you to win. Very, very important. Okay, so we talked about the gear, we talked about the red stars. Let's talk about the ISO 8, very, very important. And you can see that like right here, I have a Skirmisher ISO 8 on Morgan Le Fay at level 4, and then I decided to change her to Striker. Why did I decide to change her to Striker? The reason is because she gets extra focus with Agatha Harkness. And if you have Agatha Harkness on your team, whether it is on Arena, Cosmic Crucible, or in Alliance Wars, then you don't need her as a skirmisher. Other point, if you are using Morgan Le Fay together with the Eternals, then she's going to get offense up on spawn, and that also counts for 50% more focus. So once again, you don't need skirmisher anymore. And finally, now with Red Hulk is also going to give more focus to Morgan Le Fay. So once again, you can use her as a striker because you'll get 60% additional focus from Red Hulk. So this is something that we also need to do about the ISO 8, is to make sure that we are using the right ISO 8 with the right team. If we do that, at the end of the match, even if you don't go first, even if you don't apply the first ability block, you are still going to be able to catch up because some ISO 8s are so much better than others. Skirmisher is fine if you are not using Agatha, if you are not using Eternals, and if you are not using Red Hulk, or if you are not using Loki or some other character that lowers the resistance of the enemies, or maybe that applies defense down early on to the enemies, like Spider-Woman. If that's not the case, then you need to make sure that you are applying the right ISO 8 for the right characters. This is going to be a big problem. I mentioned this before on my previous video. It's going to be a big problem with the Gamma team, because the Gamma team has a lot of potential in Cosmic Crucible, in Raids, in Dark Dimension, and also in Arena. But for Alliance Wars, they need a specific ISO 8. Outside of Alliance Wars, they need other types of ISO 8. So this is something that we need to have in mind when we are recommending the ISO 8, because depending on the game mode, depending which characters you are using, it's going to change the ISO 8 that you require for each of those teams. Okay, so we talked about the red stars, we talked about the gear, we talked about the ISO 8. Now let's talk about how you can win in terms of the character shards. A lot of people say that characters are not farmable, blah blah blah. Yes, it's true, but if you open your premium orbs, if you open your blitz orbs, and if you open your Ultimus orbs, there is a chance that you'll get shards for the unfarmable characters. I have almost my Agatha Harkness at 7 yellow stars just from the premium orbs and Ultimus orbs. Even last week I opened 25 shards for Agatha Harkness. The week before I opened 15 shards for Agatha Harkness. So I've been getting around 15 shards for her per week based on me opening the premium orbs, opening the Ultimus orbs. Right now I'm saving everything because next week Gambit is going to be coming to these orbs, so I want the higher chance as possible to get Gambit. So for this week I'm gonna save all the premium orbs, all the milestone orbs, all the Ultimus orbs, and also all the Blitz orbs, and then I'll open everything and try to get as many Gambit shards as possible. You also have to remember that whenever you Blitz, you are getting the Blitz currency, but you are also getting gold and these Ultimus orbs that no one likes, but you can also get gear and you can also get character shards of unfarmable characters if you do that. So it's not like you don't have the chance. This is another thing where people fail a lot, and that's why they can't keep up. It's because they don't understand the value of the different game modes. For example, let's now that we are talking about Blitz, why I Blitz so much? Because you get the rewards from the milestones, of course, but whenever you have a character featured, which we don't have right now, if you get that 100 shards from the top 1%, and I don't even try too hard to be like top 100, just top 1%, you get those 55 shards or you get those 100 shards, and then those shards convert in Ultimus orbs, and sometimes, not all the time, yes, but sometimes you get Strange Supreme, you get Wong shards, you get Eternal shards. This happens to me fairly often because I participate on these different events and I try to get the maximum amount of rewards by using the least amount of time and the least amount of effort. Another thing about Blitz that people clearly ignore, it's the character shards that you already have at 7 yellow stars. Most people will have at 7 yellow stars and they will ignore that Blitz. Big mistake. This is another way you can keep up because you are going to get the elite for fragments. You get easily 450. If you go really hard, you can get 900 elite fragments. This is going to allow you to save a lot of cash in case you spend cash, and if you are a free-to-play player, it will set you in a course that you'll get at least one elite per month for free, just from blitzing. So these are things that people need to pay attention to and focus their resources on in order to maximize the potential that you can get from your experience. This is how you can catch up. This is how you can be up top without spending all your money and without selling your kidneys as well. Okay, so we talked about the character shards. Let's talk about what? The different game modes. We can talk about the different game modes. Okay, so duarktikhq, he showed right here that you should prioritize these game modes: Arena, Raid, Crucible, and Alliance Wars. This is true, but it's also not true. Arena is very important because that's where you get your power cores. But you cannot ignore the value of raids, and this is another problem that people make, is ignoring raids more than ignore Arena. Mr. Martgrave, he was saying that everyone is retarded if you are on the right side of the Doom tree and you gear up your Bionic Avengers. Of course not. I'm on the left side of the Doom Tree raid, and I do the mutant nodes almost every single day, so why would I not gear up? It means that he's counting on other people's effort in order to progress through the raids, and that's fine, that's fine. The problem is that the less nodes you do in raids, the less gold you'll have, the less raid currency that you'll have in order to get more character shards that you'll convert in Ultimus orbs, and then you can get more unfarmable characters. That's also the amount of gear that you get from the raid store, and all of that is important. At the end of the month, all those nodes that you skipped because you don't have the characters geared up enough, that's gonna be millions and millions of gold that you are not obtaining. So this is a big deal that people ignore, and that's why they can't keep up. They don't have enough resources or anything like that. Okay, so here in terms of Arena, Raid, Crucible, and War, this is True, but not true. This is important because of the power cores. Yes, this is important because you get Gear Tier 16 and you also get ISO 8 Blue. This is important because you get Gear Tier 17. And War, it's important because you can get a little bit of each. You also can get some T-Force and some gold. Yeah, so you can see, in terms of currency, this is true. But I would put the raids first, Arena second, and then Cosmic Crucible. You want to, once again, maximize the potential of the rewards that you can get as a single player. So if you can do all the lanes, all the nodes in raids, you are going to get a lot more gold than everyone else on your alliance. Then Cosmic Crucible, it's also single player mode. And the better you are in Cosmic Crucible, the more Gear Tier 17 you are going to get, the more you can then easily destroy your enemies and then save those resources or use them on specific characters to give you higher advantage. And then the game mode you really want to leave behind, it's War, because you are dependent on your alliance, and not all alliances take War seriously, and there are many questions if you should even take War seriously, because let's be honest, the rewards are quite trash, and the developers, unfortunately, they still don't realize that. Okay, so we talked about the resources that we get from the different game modes. How should you spend these resources that you are obtaining from the different game modes? Power cores, when you should spend your power cores? Literally never. You should never spend your power cores. Your power cores are only used for two things: to complete events that give you good characters. Right now we are going to have the event for Braun, so it's going to be extremely important that you use your power cores in order to get 150 shards for Braun. He's a horseman character, so if you have, for example, a character that is not a horseman, then it doesn't matter. Is it a character that is not important for a Scourge? It doesn't matter then. Save your power cores and don't waste them on those specific events or on those specific characters. If the character is part of a Scourge, if the character is part of a Horseman character, then yes, spend your power cores. Those are the only situations where you should spend your power cores. And when you need to catch up, for example, now with Braun, you are going to be able to get 150 shards, so you should also spend some of your power cores in order to get the additional yellow star. I would not recommend doing this for Scourge characters like Echo and Kate Bishop, but for Saga characters, for Horseman characters, the Horseman team, then you should definitely do this, because if you don't, you also have to beat the sagas after. People are forgetting that they have to complete these sagas, and for this you need big Phantom X, you need big Gambit, you need big Sunfire, you need big Braun, you need big Abomination, you need all of that. So if you don't have the yellow stars and if you don't have the red stars, you are going to fall off in the meta on Arena or in other game modes because you're not able to clear these sagas. So very, very important. People are forgetting about this. Now, power cores you can also spend, like I mentioned, on specific events that requires you to spend energy and campaign energy or ISO 8 energy. But once again, only if the characters are important. If the characters are not important, save your power cores. Okay, so let's talk about the other resources. We talked about power cores, let's talk about gold. When you should spend your gold, you should only level up two levels on 2 characters per day. This is to set you within the range of 1 million gold per day. You don't want to go far beyond that, maybe 1.5, but beyond that is too much. And you also want to make sure that you use your gold to buy mini uniques from Gear Tier 14, 15, 16 and 17 that you need. You don't need to spend on stuff that you don't need. You always want to have on the range of the basic gear, you always want to have to range 500 plus. On the mini uniques, you always want to have 100 plus. And on the centerpiece uniques, it doesn't really matter because you are getting so much these days that it's not important to farm these unless you are a new player, free-to-play player, but even so with raids you are going to eventually catch up. So that's in terms of gold. Gearing up, leveling up characters, only 2 levels per day on one character or separated in 2 characters, and then only on mini uniques from Gear Tier 14, 15, 16 and 17. Now, Blitz, Credits. Where should you use your Blitz credits? Only here. There are events that are related with spending a lot of these. For example, we had the She-Hulk event recently, and a lot of people are struggling because they cannot do all the war attacks. Well, if you refresh the store, then you are going to buy more of these, and then you are going to be able to do more war attacks, allowing you to complete the event. So even if you are on zone 4, if you do that I just mentioned, you'd be able to complete this fairly easy. Now, the superior basic catalyst, sometimes, very rarely, I buy these, but it's not worth the effort. These are super expensive. You should only buy these if you are desperate and if you have like more than 50,000 of the Blitz currency. Right now I'm not buying them anymore because, as you can see, I have almost 6,000 SBCs. And then, like I mentioned, if there is some very important character becoming obtainable soon through the orbs, through Ultimus orbs, basic orbs, and premium orbs, then you should save all your Blitz currency and all your Blitz orbs to open at that point. This gives you a nice amount of gold. It's going to give me around like 500,000 or so, but it's not super important. I rather use these to get those additional orbs. Okay, so let's talk about the raid currency. Always buy the SBCs here. In terms of effort and the price of the SBCs and the amount you get, its best place to buy is right here on the raid store. You should also buy basic catalysts from damage, focus, and sometimes health as well. Right now I'm a little bit low on health, and low I mean 1,500, which is not that low. The other things, sometimes you can buy origin gear only if you are desperate, only if you have like less than 100,000, less than 100. So you should try to get around 200, or as I mentioned before, the baseline should be 500. Okay, so let's move on to the arena currency. You should never use this currency. Maybe you can use it for obtaining some training materials, but the value here is very low, and it's definitely not worth it. I like to open these orbs sometimes. If you get 2 gold drops in 10, that means you are on a good seed, and that's a good occasion to open your red star orbs. But beyond that, this orb is 100% trash, and right now we have a trash character as well, Spider-Punk, so you can definitely ignore these. Previously we had Dagger here. She was a very important character in the past, and in those specific occasions where you have an important character, then you want to use the currency to open these orbs. Otherwise you can wait for them to become farmable and use it then. Now, in terms of Alliance Wars, this currency is very important, because this store, the Alliance Wars currency store, allows you to obtain mini uniques at a very good price. So this is what you want to buy in this store, is these mini uniques, for example, gear tier 16 right here, very good price. You can also buy the SBCs, you get 20 for 2,000, that's a good price as well. But in terms of the other things, it's not important. You can see here I got the bio gear. I'm also going to get this mystic gear because a lot of mystic characters are coming next week. And that's the only thing you should buy, mini uniques and some SBCs. You can also get centerpiece uniques here at a decent price, but only if it's from like very important characters like Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, or some other character like that. In terms of the character shards, only get them if you actually need them. Not important. Mary Hill important if you are a new player, so you can get Omega Red, but otherwise the characters are not important here. Scarlet Spider might be somewhat important right now, but once again, if you have less than 20,000 war currency, then you should not spend it on character shards. If you have more than 20,000, you can spend it on character shards. Keep these limits in mind, because this is important. This is how you can catch up, and if some new, more important character than Scarlet Spider is included here, then you can jump to that character, jump the meta. This is something extremely important that people still are not doing properly. Okay, now we have the Cosmic Crucible currency, and the only thing that you should buy is this. The Gear Tier 17 mini uniques, that's the only thing you want to buy here, and this is how I can have already 2 characters with 2 items of Gear Tier 17, and if Red Hulk only requires 2 sets of mini uniques, I'm gonna get him to Gear Tier 17 on day 1. because of that, because I've been focusing my resources on Mystic Gear, Mutant Gear, and Bio Gear, which is the characters that we know for sure that we need to gear up to gear tier 17 first. Okay, so these, we already talked about this. You should always save your silver promotion credits and only buy characters that you definitely need. Or if you have a surplus, like right now I have 500, so I can buy pretty much any character. But the characters that I need to get to 5 red stars, they don't matter. So I'm not gonna waste it just to progress my TCP. TCP does not matter. What matters is to invest on the right characters. Okay, so in terms of the ions, should you spend your ions? Yes, depends on how many you have. So if you have over 1 million ions, yes, you should spend your ions, this 15,000. It's not a good price. But if you have over 1 million, yes, you should definitely focus on getting the ions that you need. Right now, I need the controller isolate. There are 3 characters coming next patch that require controller isolate. So I'm gonna focus the entire month on just that. The other ones, I already farmed them. I already farmed for protection, for brawler, for blaster, and for support. Ultimus currency, as I mentioned, if there is some new character that you really want to get to 5 yellow stars or 6 yellow stars as fast as possible, you should save this currency in order to obtain those characters. Otherwise, in case you require orange gear, you can spend it right here, and that's fine. The price is actually not bad, so it's a decent investment. The only part is to stock up those currencies to 10,000. Okay, so we talked about what we talked about? Oh, okay, so in terms of the ions, we're talking about the ions, and you can see right here, I have these 5 trash characters, but that's for a reason. It's because all of them are from a different type. So we have the support, we have the protector, we have the brawler, we have the controller, and then we have the blaster. You should always have 5 characters here that allow you to easily farm those characters. Then you want to have some characters that you are farming right now, and then you want to have other characters that you are gearing up, or that you are thinking about gearing up, or that you are thinking about gearing up in the future. Right now I'm spending energy on Star-Lord T'Challa and Dr. Voodoo, but I actually don't need any of them. I use very rarely, sometimes, Star-Lord T'Challa on Alliance Wars and on Cosmic Crucible, but it's not a must-have character, and the same goes for Dr. Voodoo. I already have my Morgan Le Fay at 7 yellow stars, so getting up this character more or getting more yellow stars on him, it's pretty much irrelevant. It's gonna give me such a minor benefits that is not even worth the gold that it costs. So instead of farming characters that are irrelevant right now, you should rather focus on spending your energy on gear for upcoming characters. Recently I was taking a look at a live stream for a mobile gamer, and I noticed that he has no bio gear. He has literally no bio gear. This is a big problem, and this is also a big mistake that people make. Someone was asking me, why did I gear up Abomination first over the other characters? Why did I give Teal gear to Abomination over the other characters? Because Abomination allows me to win the game. I can plug and play Abomination on any team, Uncanny X-Men or Eternals or any team. I can put Abomination there, and it's going to allow me to win. The other characters, no. The other characters are not as important. And I also want to make sure that I have enough gear to gear up Red Hulk Day 1. So imagine I'm gonna spend all the mini uniques, all that, on She-Hulk and on Brawn, and then tomorrow I get Red Hulk. Oh shit, I have no gear. How am I going to gear up Red Hulk now if I don't have the gear? This is why sometimes it's just better for you to wait, to be patient. Make sure that you have all the gear that you need for the character, so you jump the meta. Right now, this investment that I'm doing, stopping gearing up these characters, stop leveling up these characters, is going to allow me to jump the meta and be a lot stronger on Cosmic Crucible, Arena, Alliance Wars, and all those game modes because I'm jumping the meta. I have all the gear to gear up Red Hulk day one without any extra monetary costs, and then I will dominate those game modes, and other people that wasted their gear on these guys, or they have to well harder and spend a lot of money, or they have to wait weeks and weeks until they are ready to catch up to my progress. So speaking of energy, speaking of gearing up characters, you always want to make sure that you have a gear tier 14 character at the top, and that this character has gear 14 requirements and gear tier 15 requirements. So like this, you have these characters to focus on that specific gear that you need. Right now I'm using this Valkyrie just to gear up to get these catalysts, and then with Braun I'm just using him because this is the requirement I have right now. The highest is to get enough mini uniques for Red Hulk. At the moment I think I already have enough, but even so I'm gonna keep farming them just in case, because we have Spider-Man 2099, which is also a bio character and which I think will also have viability not only on his team but also together with other characters. Now that we are talking about other characters, let's talk about playing the game, creativity. Do you guys have enough creativity? So in the past, when Avengers Tower was a thing, I was extremely successful on Avengers Tower because I was able to pair up different characters that would allow me to cheese. I used this expression a lot back then. It would allow me to cheese a lot of the Avenger Towers level. And this is also true for Cosmic Crucible. This is also true for Alliance Wars. Right now I'm using Minerva. Of all characters, I'm using Minerva in order to counter Hero Asgardians. And this allows me to punch up quite big against them. And Minerva, it's a relevant character. No one cares about Minerva. I don't gear up this character for many years, I guess, even years. But her ultimate is still pretty good, and if you use her ultimate exactly where you should, it's not going to trigger the passives from Heimdall, from Valkyrie and all that shit. But you need to know how to use your characters together. In the past, in Avengers Tower, I was using OG Spider-Man with Doctor Doom, Magneto, Blob and Toad. That would allow me to apply defense down to all the enemies, blind them to protect my team, and then use Doctor Doom ultimate in order to blow up everyone, and they had defense down, so they would take 50% more damage. This is how you need to play the game. You need to be creative on how you face the challenges, and this is why if you just gear up specific characters, that is going to allow you to be better than other players, to have more resources than other players, and for you to always stay on top of the game. This is how you catch up, is to be smart, to be creative, use your roster to its full potential. Each of these characters, use them to their full potential. Don't lock yourself behind just because you are using Spider-Verse together with Doctor Doom and Magneto. Some people get OCD about that. Oh, why are you using different characters together? Because you have these different characters. Because if you use these different characters together, you have these possibilities. This is why you need to realize, and it's part of the game. This is not a team-based game. This is a RPG-based game, and what matters is the characters individually. Yes, sometimes they are stronger on their team, other times they are not. It depends on the challenge that you are facing. This is very important. So, was I able to catch up? We are at the end of the patch. Tomorrow we are going to have the next patch. You saw my resources. I have tons of Elite 5 or Elite 4s and 5s. I have tons of orange gear. I have tons of teal gear. You guys have no idea how much bio teal gear I have right now. You can see right here. I have fully crafted gear that it's not even going to tap on my resources that I have that are not fully crafted. I have so much gear that I possibly can gear up Red Hulk to gear T17 on the first day, or maybe on the first week, depending on which centerpiece unique he has. Look how many T4s do I have. How do I keep up? Light Spender, battle passes and one offer for each character. How can I keep up? It's just to focus on what matters. One big problem with a content creator that we lost recently, Philosopher, was that he said that you need all the T4s. You need all the T4s on, for example, Young Avengers. Where is this Kate Bishop? Okay, we have Echo here. So for Philosopher, he thought that oh, you need all the T4s on Young Avengers. So it's not true. There are many T4s. They are nice to have. They are okay, but you don't need to spend those T4s. Those T4s are not game changing. And I'm looking for Kate Bishop here because he recommended the T4 on the basic, but it's not a T4 that you actually need. And all these T4s you can skip, and then you are going to have a massive surplus of T4s to use next patch. The patch is about to start and I have enough T4s to gear up 3 characters. So I'm pretty much done for the next entire patch. That's how ridiculous it is if you focus on what you are doing. If you know exactly where you should spend your gear and don't focus on mediocre things. Doing the basic T4 on Kate Bishop is mediocre. You are going to get a minor increase on her performance. So it's pretty much like you are wasting your T4s. The same goes for Hulkbuster that we have right here. You can also do his basic because he has a striker ISO 8, but the minor increase in damage is so low that is irrelevant. It's not good enough. So why am I going to do the basic? It just doesn't do enough. Yes, it's a nice to have. It increases your damage output by a little bit. It's not relevant enough. If you are setting yourself behind, if you are setting yourself back because you are wasting your resources on these minor improvements, this is how you fall back. This is how you can't keep up. Okay, let's take a look at all my teams. All the teams that were released since the Web Warrior. It's pretty much the entire teams from this year. Okay, so first we have the Web Warriors. I only gear up OG Spider-Man because he has the most flexibility on this team. Ghost Spider is also pretty decent, but OG Spider-Man is definitely the king here. In so many game modes, he is must-have. Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, Dark Dimension, Raids. This character works with any team. Recently I used OG Spider-Man together with the Gamma team on Doom 3.4. Because the other characters, they are nice, but they are not as good as OG Spider-Man. He has self-sustain, he has self-buffs, he has stuns, he has crowd control, he has abilities that increase his survivability, like the evade on the basic, and he also increases the potential of the allies. These other characters, they don't do that much. They don't do that much. It's uncomparable how much OG Spider-Man is better than everyone else. Here on the Uncanny, the only character that I gear up a little bit higher is Magic because she has potential with the Astonishing X-Men. She has potential with the Uncanny X-Men. She has potential with Unlimited X-Men. So she has the highest flexibility, so she deserves a little bit more gear than the other characters. The other ones at gear tier 14, they are just fine. Same goes for the Ravagers. We have Star-Lord T'Challa. He was part of the previous tech meta. Right now he's not important anymore. You can still use him sometimes in Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, in one of those PvP modes because he's a decent PvP character, but the other characters you can see right here. Blue gear, purple gear, and Yondu, I use it for the Gambit raids, and that's it. Now we have the Young Avengers, Big Trap, Mr. Hardgrave, spent 7 red stars on Squirrel Girl, and now he regrets. No shit, bro, no shit. You regret what you made? Of course you regret, because you are a fucking dumbass. And that's the problem. He thought that, oh, Squirrel Girl is going to allow me to win the Rogue at 7 yellow stars. Congratulations, you did that. You got your Rogue at 7 yellow stars, but you wasted all this bio gear that now you need for the Gamma team. Where is your gear now, bro? So he wasted all the resources on this team, a lot of characters to teal gear, and now they are completely useless because they are average team on Cosmic Crucible, they are average team on Alliance Wars, and in other game modes you cannot use them. So all the gear that he used here was wasted. Now the same goes for this team, Dark Hunters. Mordo I geared up like 3 years ago, so it's irrelevant. And Elsa Bloodstone, I got her to gear tier 14, she did what I wanted, and then I stopped. She did what I needed, then I stopped. I have my Morgan Le Fay at 7 yellow stars, now I stop, now I don't have to touch on this team ever again. Okay, now we have the Marauders. I already mentioned about them. Madeline Pryor is the only character here that matters to gear up. Emma Frost, she's also a very important character, but she's a kit based character. She does not need to have higher gear than gear tier 15. More gear will increase her survivability, but it will not increase her ability output, the performance of how her abilities do. So just forget about her. Focus on Madeline Pryor, and you can use both of them very successfully in different game modes depending on which characters you pair them up with. Okay, then we have the Horseman team. You have to gear up this team whether you like it or not. You have to get all of them at gear tier 17 and ISO 8 blue level 4, so it doesn't matter. Now, you should hold back on how fast you get up these characters. You should get up first Morgan Le Fay and Agatha, and then only get up the other characters, one per patch, if you need it. If you don't need it, just slow down, because you don't have to get all these characters at gear tier 17 day 1. You can slowly gear them up. The only characters that really matter, Morgan Le Fay, and then Agatha. Okay, Wakanda, so other team that people spend tons and tons of gold and resources, it's not important. It's a okay team on Cosmic Crucible, and it's a bait team. If I put my gear tier 14 Wakanda on Cosmic Crucible, everyone is always going to use their Young Avengers because they are scared. And that's how you should play with the game. You should try to scare other people like this, so you don't have to spend your resources, and they are still going to have to use those big teams in order to defeat them. Okay, now we have the A-Force. A-Force, it has a very good character, extremely underrated, Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman is like Spider-Man. She has a lot of flexibility in different game modes. I use Spider-Woman at least 5 times per week, maybe 10 times per week in Arena, because she's a very powerful counter against certain characters. So that's going to be extremely important. Captain Marvel, so many people waste resources on Captain Marvel. She doesn't need gear. She's there for her passive. She activates her passive at the beginning of the match. After she dies, okay, that's fine, it's irrelevant. Nico Minoru, the same thing. She has so much focus that she doesn't need gear. You can completely ignore her, and that's fine. If you want to play with these characters, okay, maximum gear tier 14. Taking any of these characters, Captain Marvel or Nico Minoru, beyond gear tier 14, it's a big mistake. And as I'm just saying, they are playable at level 65 gear tier 12. You can take this team that you see right here, 600,000 power, against some big ass Young Avengers, and they are still going to win. You just need to make sure that you know the strategy. Maybe I need to make a video on how to explain the strategy. Okay, here we have another Saga character. Once again, we have priorities here. You want to gear up Gambit and Rogue because they are important in raids. The other characters you can gear up one per patch, as I mentioned before. It's not important to gear up the other characters super early. Maybe you can gear up Sunfire a little bit earlier, but Phantom X and Dazzler, they are decent characters, but they are not priorities. They don't allow you to win the game based on having additional stats. Heroes Guardians, they are trash. I have mentioned like 1 million times they are trash. Bionic Avengers, required for raids. If you're like Mr. Atgrave and you are depending on other people to progress you through the raids, maybe if you're on the right side you don't have to get up this team. But if you are a good player, if you are a team player, if you are working together with your alliance, then you should gear up your raid teams as well. As I mentioned before, the most important game mode is raids and then arena. You never want to get stuck on any node on raids. This is why I level up my red characters first to level 90, and only now I'm getting up my arena characters to level 90. Okay, so we have the She-Hulk, we have the new Entangled Web Warriors, and we have the other new team, the Underworld. Some of these characters might be useful independently on different game modes. Based on that, I'm going to gear up. Depends if Taskmaster and Kingpin are going to be important for raids or not. and Green Goblin and Nobu, we'll wait and see. But once again, we are going to take a look at the viability of each character individually, and then we are going to take into consideration if we should gear them up or not, or if we should ignore them the same way we did with Captain Marvel, with Nico Minoru, and with other Ravagers as well. Okay, so I think I talked about pretty much everything. This video is going for pretty much 1 hour, so very long, and that's how you can keep up with the game. That's how you win in the game. This is how you need to focus your resources in order to win on Marvel Strike Force. This is how you can catch up. Is it possible to catch up? Yes, it is possible. You just have to, which is the video? Okay, this one. This is how you can keep up with everything, is to focus on the things that matter. Don't waste your time focusing on unnecessary things. Don't waste your time and your resources focusing on unnecessary T4s, on unnecessary ISO weight. Make sure you follow the content creators that give you the best advice. Make sure you join the Discord. And if you have any question, you can always ask me on my Discord. You just have to tag me. If you don't tag me, I will not see the comments. And that's pretty much it. That's how you have to use your resources in order to win on Marvel Strike Force. This is how you can keep up with everything, with all the new metas. And this is how you can use your resources to jump the metas. Jump the meta. That's the best part, is when you are able to jump the meta. Once again, right now I'm saving all my bio gear so I can take Red Hulk day 1 to gear tier 17. So after I can jump the meta and I'll have Red Hulk before everyone. So for the next 2 or 3 weeks I will have way bigger advantage on Arena, Cosmic Crucible and Alliance Wars, because I used my resources exactly when I needed them in order to take an advantage over everyone else. So yeah guys, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and if you found the video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.